So tonight's talk is about the question of the week, because this morning I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and then I saw the question of the week and I thought, that's great, I have not talked about that in a while. So does anybody remember what it is? The question of the week? What's the purpose of us asking the question? If you guys don't know what it is, go.
Work-life balance.
Yeah, it's, do I have a good work-life balance? And this phrase, work-life balance, I know means something to all of us, but to me, personally, it does not mean the same thing as it does to you guys. And it's for a very simple reason. I love what I do for a job, and for most people they don't. And I'm not saying like you hate your job and you want to die every time you're there. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I do it, and sometimes I like it and sometimes I don't. And I'm not specifically talking to you guys because I don't know, maybe you love your job, maybe you don't. But somebody out there listening to this is, yeah, I wish I did not have to do my job. In fact, I wish I never had to work again a day in my life. When I answer the question, what would I do with $1 million? Or now it's like, what would you do with $1 billion because of inflation? I would still do exactly what I'm doing. I would spend that money on a bigger dojo and on more advertising to get more students. That's it. Like, I would still teach martial arts. Maybe I would take a day off, find somebody else to teach a day, and then I would do 5 days a week. But it's like, I'm here a lot. I'm here 60 or so hours a week, sometimes more than that. And believe it or not, it's not because I have to be here. The dojo would actually be mostly fine, as much as I hate to admit it. The dojo would probably be fine if I were only here 40 or 50 hours a week. But I'm here more than that. And it's because I love it. I love the dojo, and I love teaching, and I love all of you guys. And there is no place that I would rather be. Now, sometimes, you know, I'm tired today, or sometimes I'm hangry or whatever, and like, would I rather be eating a snack than teaching? Sure, but like, that lasts for this long, and then how can I teach? This is what I want to do. And the dojo is a creation of mine, and the environment here and all of this, I mean, I copied it from Sifu Brown, my teacher, but this is like the thing that I have created so that I get to be in the environment that I love the most. And I've just found a way to get paid to do something that I really love to do every single day. And when I first started martial arts, I thought about it kind of like most people do, certainly including my parents, which is, you can't get money doing that. You can't get paid to do that. You can't like have a decent living and support a family. And it's never going to be anything more than just a pipe dream. And it was the same thing for Sifu Brown when he started. His parents thought the same thing. And then I heard Sifu Brown talking about this idea, and it may have been in his Secrets of Success seminar. It may have been in something else similar. But Sifu Brown's suggestion is, and this is mine, find something that you love to do, get really great at it, and somebody will pay you to do it. That's it. And some of you maybe have tried that, and maybe you think, well, I failed at it. I couldn't get somebody to pay me to do what I love, so now I do this other thing. My suggestion is, you either didn't get good enough at it yet, or you didn't stick it out long enough and try to find somebody to pay you enough. And certainly there is something that you could choose that nobody wants to pay you to do. But for the most part, if there's a thing that you love and you're great at it, and you either want to teach other people to do it or you want to do it yourself or whatever, like, somebody will pay you. Maybe one person will pay you, maybe 1,000 people will pay you. But there's money out there. So essentially, the money thing, you just kind of forget about it. If you get great enough at something because you are passionate enough about it, the money will come. And usually we go at it from the other way. It's like we think of the job as, this is the thing that I've got to do to pay my bills. This is the thing that helps me survive. And then the stuff that I love to do is the stuff that I do on the side. And this is how our society works. This is how our society has trained us. Our world has said to us, you have to work hard, you have to work long hours like me, except you better do it something that you hate doing, and you better show up to work and just gut it out, and then if you're lucky you get to go home to a nice house and be happy for a couple of hours, watch TV, go to bed, wake up and do the next thing the next day, the same thing. And it's like I've described it. If you're lucky, at the end of the week of hard work, then you get to enjoy your weekend. If you're not so lucky, then maybe like after a month of working hard, then you'll finally like enjoy something. You'll take some time off and have a vacation or something. If you're really unlucky, then after a year of working hard, you'll finally set aside some time to just enjoy. And it's like all this time that we spend not enjoying life because we're working, it seems like a horrible imbalance to me. It seems like, in fact, any time that we spend doing stuff that we just hate doing so that we can survive, so we can get to the stuff that we like doing, or any time that we spend doing something, it's like other people, those weird people, they go to the gym to work out, not like us. We do something that we love and it's fun and exciting. But those people, they go to the gym and they get on the treadmill or the elliptical or the bike or whatever, or they go and just like lift weights, they just move heavy weights around. And they got music in or they're watching TV or whatever else because they'd really rather be someplace else. You notice we don't play music in class. I certainly don't let you have headphones in during class. We don't have TV on in the dojo. And it's because you need to be present here for what we're doing, but also because it's just fun. Like you don't need all of those distractions to get through it. And that's kind of like how we treat our careers and our jobs. Is usually it's like, here's the thing that I have to get through. I'd rather be someplace else. I can't tell you how many times I've been someplace in another place of work and I see somebody working, but they've got like this side of the screen is some like work. It's like an Excel spreadsheet or something, some devilry like that. And then the other half of their screen is Netflix. And they're watching a movie or a TV show while they're working. Really, they're not doing either thing well. And it's just another example of that. Like I need to escape what I'm doing right now because I just don't want to be doing it. Now, that is a concept, and I feel very strongly about it. It's what I've modeled my life after. And I will tell you, there is not like a ridiculous amount of money in martial arts, but there's enough for me to feel totally happy and like confident that this is the right thing to do. And I love doing it every single day. And I'm totally happy to spend 60, 70 hours in the dojo doing it. And if I had a family, it probably wouldn't work. So when I get married and children someday, I'm probably gonna have to spend less time in the dojo. And I will be happy to do that too, because there will probably be something else that I would rather be doing to some extent. I need to spend time with my kids. I want to spend time with my kids. Or my wife, I'm assuming, if she's wonderful. But it's not gonna be like I really only want to do that and I hate going to the dojo. I hate teaching classes. It will just never be that way for me. But then there is still this idea of whether you love what you do or not, there still has to be balance in just, where your energy is spent. And so there are people, several of you in this room, who come here, and this is not your job, you're just here like every day. And if it works for your life the way that it's designed, that is wonderful. And I applaud you. And there are people who have not worked that out. They just show up at the dojo and forget about the rest of life. And it's like, I'm just here, and my work suffers, and my family life suffers, and everything else is going to trash, but I love the dojo. It's honestly very unlikely and rare that that happens, because if you're spending time in the dojo, you're getting this lesson of balance. You're also just a happy person, and you're good at things that you do. because that's what our practice teaches us, is to become more efficient and effective in everything else that we do in life. So it's unlikely that everything else is suffering, but it happens sometimes. And I take Catherine as an example because she is wonderful at everything that she does, including being a mom and a wife, I'm assuming. And still, I'm sure sometimes her kids and her husband would rather she be at home than here at the dojo. And that's going to be the way that it is for anybody who's a good person that people want to spend time with. Now, some people are like, their family does not want them to be home. That's a different story. But let's say that it's somebody who, you know, people like being around. Yeah, I'm sure sometimes people complain to Catherine, like, I wish you were home. I wish that we spent more time with you and whatever. And so that there's got to be some balance with that. But you can't just give into it and say, well, I'm just going to not be at the dojo. I'm just going to not be at work. I'm just going to spend time with family, unless that's the choice that you make. But balance, here's the thing with the work-life balance, or with balance between any two things in your life, is it must be up to you, and it must be an individual thing. What a lot of times we do is we take our cues from other people, or we take our cues from the societal norms, or from whatever we've been brought up to think is normal and right and good, and then we measure ourselves against that, and we think, well, I'm doing this too much, or I'm not doing this enough. And that certainly is usually the case, that you're unbalanced in some way. But we got to check where we're getting our bar for measurement. Are we getting that from something real? Are we getting that from what we want to be measuring ourselves against for balance? Or are we getting it from the thing that we just kind of ended up believing from movies, or what our parents did, or like what our our other classmates in school or our workmates do? Or is it like, I've decided this is what I want to do, this is what works for me, and I'm not just kidding myself. Like, yeah, I love being at work for 60 hours a week. I mean, you guys can tell that I love being here, but some people say that and they do not mean it. And they might even be convincing themselves or trying to convince themselves that they do, but they don't really want to be. And you have to find out what works for you, but not just from a selfish perspective, obviously. If you have a family, you have loved ones, you have other people in your life, then you have to find out what really works. And I'm not talking about somebody, like you could have unbalance in the other way, like some of you guys have told me, somebody always wants me to be home, and I'm not good at saying no, and I just always give into it. You have to be able to find what works for you. And I mean what really works. And here's how you tell what works. It's easy. It's not constantly a struggle. It's not like, oh, I'm being pulled in this way, but oh, I'm being pulled in this way. It's like, I just stand in balance, and it feels right. And it is really like a seesaw. And if you stand a little bit off to the side, you can kind of fight and push to get yourself to keep the seesaw balanced, but it's a fight. You go too far to one end, you can't even fight to keep yourself on balance. You're just off balance this way. And then usually what happens is we notice we're off balance here, so then we go back over this way, a little bit too far here, and now there's a little bit of a fight in this direction, but I can kind of keep it balanced. It's not really comfortable, but I can do it. Or then if I slide too far this direction, then I'm off balance. And then you're really good because you're meditating a lot, you're being more mindful, you're really paying attention to what's happening with you in your life, and then you find that sweet spot and you're right there, perfectly balanced, and it's easy. I hardly have to do anything to stay right here. And this is a different expression of the same kind of flow state that we get into practice. It's different from Mushin, but it should have a similar kind of feeling to it, where it's like I'm sparring with somebody, or I'm grappling with somebody, or push hands in Tai Chi, and I get into this state where I'm completely centered and balanced physically and mentally, and it feels right, and it just flows through me. Because if I'm off balance and I'm fighting, then I'm kind of in the way and nothing can flow through me. If I'm right there balanced, I'm like a perfect conduit and it just happens by itself. And you kind of get to the end of that practice or the end of that class and you feel like time just zipped by and it was easy. And you're tired and sweating and smiling, but it felt like a totally different experience. That's really what we're aiming for in life. Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't work hard. You should. What I'm saying is it should not have the experience of, should not cause you to constantly feel exhausted at the end of the day, like I got nothing else to give and all I can do is just crash. You should kind of feel energized. And maybe not physically energized, but emotionally stimulated. You should feel at the end of the day like this is it. You know, my life might not be all exactly the way that I want it to be, but I've got some balance. And I'm working through this, all of these issues that come up, it's like with ease. It's like it comes up and I'm just like, that's right. Or it comes up and I go, yes, exactly, that's it. And it is standing in that balance that just makes things easy and makes you more powerful. So you can look at it just on one simple level of like time. Am I spending too much time here or am I spending too much time here? And that's a valid way to look at it. You can also look at it as energy. How much energy am I spending here versus here? You can look at it even from the energy perspective with like the mental energy that you're putting into something. How am I spending my time? Where am I spending my thoughts? And you might be physically at work, but mentally you're at home. Or mentally you're out here thinking of this other problem. Or you might be physically at home, and this is more often what happens, but mentally I'm back at work and I'm thinking about all the crap that I got to deal with when I go back the next day. Or you're physically at home and you're actually just working. You just brought your laptop home and you're still doing it. But if it's what you love and it energizes you and it feels right and it feels easy from this balanced state, then that's where you are. Usually what we find is we're off balance slightly or drastically in one direction or another. And so I love thinking about Ueshiba Sensei whenever I talk about balance. And his students would watch Ueshiba Sensei move and pivot and throw and like a whirlwind. And his students would say, Master Ueshiba Sensei, he's always got perfect balance. He's never off balance. And he heard this and he said, that's not true. I constantly get off balance, but I get back to balance so quickly that you don't recognize it. And this is really how it should be for us. You're moving along in this direction, you get off balance and you just come right back quickly. And so meditation helps us with this because we start to recognize our thoughts on that level of imbalance of where I'm spending my time and energy or thoughts. I can recognize as soon as I get off balance in the direction I don't want to go, I bring it right back. And we should also be able to recognize in our meditation this sense of ease, this feeling of perfect balance and harmony with our body, with our mind, with our breath, with spirit, with just everything around us. It's like this feeling of oneness. Like I was describing in Tai Chi this morning, when you're doing Tai Chi in a group of people and it just feels right. It feels like you are at one with everything and everyone. If you get that sensation when you're meditating, that's great. We practice knowing what that's like, and then we have got to take that out into everything else that we do. So it's important to get a feel for it, to recognize it, and then be able to bring that into everything. So as we meditate today, you're going to be practicing balance with a couple different things. One is just your physical balance. Like if you're off and your spine is not straight, you got to bring it back and keep it there. If you're leaning in one direction or you feel like your body's not in a good position, so something hurts, you've got an ache or you've got an itch or whatever, just come right back to that strong centered position. You want to be like a mountain, just completely solid. You're rooted. And you are not even just sitting on top of the mats. It's like you're coming up through the mats and you're there, immovable. And your breath is balanced and centered. It doesn't get too labored because you're trying to slow it down and deepen it too much, and it strains, and it's not too shallow and quick. It just drops into your diaphragm and becomes really centered and really deep and satisfying. And your mind is centered. Your mind is going off in one direction, you bring it right back to center. It goes off in another direction, you bring it right back to center. And we'll experience that today. And then if you find yourself with your mental energy going off to work or to home or to whatever else, meditation serves this really important purpose of being like a reset button. You meditate, press the reset button, everything else is fine. Or it's like wiping the slate clean. You just meditate, and now I'm in this state of nothing. So all of that other stuff that was pulling me off balance and making me feel this stress and this tension is now gone. And it will be there waiting for you when you leave, so you can pick it up and you can decide exactly how much of it you want to take on, and you'll be better off, better able to take it on when you're done with meditation. But don't let that stuff creep into your meditation. Just let it wash right over you. Sit comfortably.